What happens when a hero returns home, only to find his neighborhood overrun by crime, corruption, and a crime boss peddling gold chains like they're the new drug? Welcome to Movie Bites, where we bring you the stories that made us laugh, cheer, and quote them for years to come. Today, we're diving into I'm Gonna Get You Sucka, a film that took everything we knew about blaxploitation, cranked it up to 11, and made us laugh while doing it. It's a world where gold chains are dangerous, ex-pimps still walk like it's the 70s, and even ordering one rib can turn into an unforgettable moment. But behind the comedy was a cast of legends, some rising, some already icons, who helped make this film the classic it is today. But where are the stars now? Let's take a look at the cast of I'm Gonna Get You Sucka, then and now. John Slade, played by the legendary Bernie Casey, is the OG of action heroes in I'm Gonna Get You Sucka. He's the dude who walked so shaft and every other blaxploitation tough guy could run. A retired street legend with a permanent cool factor, Slade isn't just a fighter, he's a symbol of old-school justice. And when it's time to throw down, he proves that experience beats youth every time. At the time of filming, Bernie Casey was 49 years old and already a legend. Before acting, he was out here tackling people in the NFL, but once he hit Hollywood, he became that guy. From Revenge of the Nerds to Another 48 Hours, Casey always brought that smooth, no-nonsense energy. Sadly, he passed away in 2017 at 78, but his legacy is forever. John Slade wasn't just a character, he was a tribute to an entire era of black cinema. And let's be real, nobody could have played him better than Bernie Casey. Jack Spade, played by the brilliant Keenen Ivory Wayans, is the reluctant hero of I'm Gonna Get You Sucka. Fresh out of the military, Jack returns home to a neighborhood drowning in crime and corruption. But nothing hits harder than learning his own brother Junebug overdosed, not on drugs, but gold chains. With the streets under the grip of the ruthless Mr. Big, Jack realizes he has no choice but to step up and fight back. At 30, Keenen Ivory Wayans was already changing the game, but now, at 66 years old, his legacy is cemented. He went on to create In Living Color, Breaking Barriers in Comedy, and directed Scary Movie, 2000, which became the highest-grossing film by an African-American director until Fantastic Four, 2005. A true pioneer, Keenen set the stage for his entire family in entertainment. But in recent years, Keenen has kept a low profile, staying out of the public eye. Many speculate that he might be battling health issues, but nothing has been confirmed. We do hope he's okay, and if he is going through something, let's all keep him in our prayers. Leonard, played by the hilarious Damon Wayans, is one of the many over-the-top characters in I'm Gonna Get You Sucka. As part of the film's satirical take on blaxploitation movies, Leonard is an exaggerated, not-so-bright goon working for the villain, Mr. Big. At the time, Damon Wayans was in his mid-20s, already showcasing the comedic brilliance that would make him a household name. Wayans' expressions, timing, and delivery make Leonard one of the funniest minor characters in the film. Just a few years later, Damon and his brother Keenen Ivory Wayans changed comedy with In Living Color, where he created unforgettable characters like Homie D. Clown. He later starred in Major Payne, Mo Money, and The Last Boy Scout, proving his range beyond just comedy. In the 2000s, he became a TV icon as the lovable but strict Michael Kyle in My Wife and Kids, showing his ability to mix comedy with heart. Even in a small role like Leonard, Wayans' comedic genius is clear. I'm Gonna Get You Sucka was just the beginning for a man who would go on to be one of the biggest and funniest names in entertainment. Willie, played by Kadeem Hardison, is Leonard's smooth-talking but equally clueless partner in crime in I'm Gonna Get You Sucka. As one of Mr. Big's henchmen, he thinks he's a slick gangster. But let's be real, he and Leonard are about as threatening as a pair of lost tourists. They talk big, but when the action starts, they're usually the ones getting stomped out. At the time, Hardison was in his early 20s, still making a name for himself. But just a year later, he'd become a superstar as Dwayne Wayne on A Different World, rocking his signature flip-up glasses and making everybody laugh. Now 59 years old, he's still acting, still cool, and still a legend in the black community, with roles in Vampire in Brooklyn, Drive, and countless TV shows. Even in a goofy henchman role, Hardison's charisma was undeniable, I'm Gonna Get You Sucka was just a taste of what was to come from this comedy icon. Miss Belle, played by the legendary Janet Dubois, is the ultimate strong black mother in I'm Gonna Get You Sucka. She's tough, fearless, and absolutely not the one to mess with, especially when it comes to protecting her son. After losing Junebug, who overdosed on gold chains, a hilarious parody of addiction, Miss Belle isn't about to let anything happen to Jack. And if trouble comes knocking, she answers with fists. Leonard and Willie find that out the hard way when they show up demanding $5,000 for Mr. Big. Thinking they can intimidate an older woman? Big mistake. Before they can even blink, Miss Belle whoops their asses so bad they probably reconsidered their whole lives. They walked in tough, but they crawled out humble. At 56, Janet Dubois was already a TV veteran, with a career that had been going strong since the early 70s. She had appeared in many television shows, but her most memorable role was as Willona Woods on Good Times, the stylish, sassy, and caring neighbor who brought humor and heart to the screen. Her presence in the black community was undeniable, making her a beloved figure in households across the country. Sadly, she passed away in 2020 at the age of 88 due to cardiac arrest. But though she's gone, her impact is forever. Janet Dubois remains a legend, etched in the black community, celebrated for her talent, charm, and the unforgettable characters she brought to life. Junebug, portrayed by the multifaceted Bobby Martis, is a character whose brief appearance in I'm Gonna Get You Sucka serves as the catalyst for the film's events. As Jack Spade's brother, Junebug's death from an overdose of gold chains, a satirical jab at material excess, sets Jack on a mission to avenge him and clean up any ghetto USA. Before his untimely demise, Junebug owed Mr. Big $5,000, highlighting the crime lord's oppressive influence over the community. While Junebug's role is often overlooked in reviews, his actions are pivotal, igniting the narrative that unfolds. Bobby Martis, much like Keenen Ivory Wayans, is not just an actor, but a creative force behind numerous projects. At the time of the film's release in 1988, Martis was 33 years old. His diverse talents encompass writing, directing, producing, and authorship. He has appeared in films such as Hollywood Shuffle and The Five Heartbeats. As a filmmaker, Martis wrote and directed Showtime Network's Why Colors, which featured notable talents like Regina King, Ice-T, Barry White, and Anne Marie Johnson. Currently, Bobby Martis is 70 years old, continuing to contribute to the arts with the same passion and creativity that have defined his multifaceted career. Cheryl Spade, played by the talented Dawn Lewis, is the widow of Jack Spade's brother, Junebug, who dies from an overdose of gold chains. An absurd yet sharp satire on addiction that sets the tone for the film's Blaxploitation parody. After Junebug's death, Cheryl is left vulnerable, living with Jack's mother, Ma Belle, in their tough neighborhood, Any Ghetto, USA. She's more than just a grieving widow. She's the heart of the story, grounding Jack as he returns from the army, determined to take down Mr. Big, the man behind the gold chain epidemic destroying their community. But Cheryl isn't just sitting on the sidelines. She's strong, resilient, and refuses to be a damsel in distress. However, when Mr. Big abducts her, it forces Jack to step up, not just as a fighter, but as a protector. Saving Cheryl isn't just about revenge anymore. It's about love, family, and proving he can handle the responsibility that comes with being a real man. At 27, Dawn Lewis was already making waves in Hollywood. Around the same time, she starred as Jaleesa in A Different World, bringing intelligence, sass, and strength to black sitcoms. Since then, she has built an impressive career, appearing in numerous TV series, lending her voice to animated projects, and even shining on Broadway. Now 63, she's still thriving in the industry. Cheryl Spade might not have been the loudest character in I'm Gonna Get You Sucka, but Dawn Lewis gave her depth, strength, and charm, making her impossible to forget. The nightclub singer, played by the talented Keenen Wayans, is a performer who lives and breathes music. She takes the stage at a local venue, pouring her heart and soul into every note. Singing isn't just something she does, it's who she is. No matter how big or small the crowd, she delivers each performance like it's her last, fully immersing herself in the music. And when she hits those high notes, it's a full-body experience. She feels it so deeply that she sometimes even collapses to the floor, lost in the passion of the moment. Her scene in I'm Gonna Get You Sucka is pure comedy gold. What starts as a soulful, heartfelt performance quickly turns into a dramatic spectacle. As she belts out her song, her emotions take over, and before anyone knows it, she's on the floor, completely consumed by the music. It's an over-the-top but hilarious exaggeration of performers who take themselves just a little too seriously, and Kim Wayans nails it perfectly. At 27, she was just beginning to carve out her place in Hollywood, and she would soon become a household name on In Living Color, where her comedic chops truly shined. Over the years, she has continued acting, writing, and producing, proving she's a multifaceted talent. Now 63, Kim Wayans remains a force in entertainment, always bringing humor and heart to her roles. Her nightclub singer might have only had a brief moment in I'm Gonna Get You Sucka, but it was unforgettable. Just like everything Kim Wayans touches. Hammer, played by the legendary Isaac Hayes, is the muscle of John Slade's old-school crew in I'm Gonna Get You Sucka. A man of few words, but a lot of action, Hammer doesn't need to talk tough. His fists and firepower do all the talking. At 46 years old during filming, Hayes brought that same larger-than-life presence that made him an icon in both music and film. By the time John Slade tracks him down, Hammer and his partner Slammer, played by Jim Brown, are already retired, running a peaceful little restaurant. They've traded in street fights for frying pans, content with flipping burgers instead of bad guys. But when Slade tells them about Mr. Big and how bad things have gotten, their warrior instincts kick back in. It's one last mission, one last chance to show these young punks how it's really done. One of Hammer's funniest moments is when he and Slammer gear up for battle. These guys go all out, loading themselves up with every weapon imaginable. Guns, grenades, knives, even more guns. They're looking unstoppable until they take one step. Boom! They collapse under all that weight, and the triggers go off in every direction. Luckily, the bullets miss all their vital organs, but it's a hilarious moment that spoofs over-the-top action movies. Isaac Hayes was already a film veteran, having starred in Shaft, 1971, Truck Turner, 1974, and Escape from New York, 1981. Sadly, he passed away in 2008 at 65 due to a stroke, but his legacy in music and film will never be forgotten. Chris Rock's cameo as the rib joint customer in I'm Gonna Get You Sucka is short, but man, does it stick with you. In a movie packed with parody and over-the-top moments, his scene is one of the funniest, proving that even a few minutes of screen time can create a legendary moment. When he walks up to the counter, his face says it all. He's about to be cheap, and he doesn't care who knows it. He looks up at the menu, does the math in his head, and decides he's not about to spend a dime more than necessary. Instead of ordering like a normal person, he hits the cashier, played by Isaac Hayes, with the ultimate budget request. How much for one rib? Not a meal, not even half an order, just one. Hayes, looking unbothered, tells him the full price, but Rock keeps pushing. What about just a sip of soda? No cup needed, just a little taste. The delivery, the timing, the straight-faced commitment to being cheap. It's classic Chris Rock. At just 23, Rock was still grinding in stand-up, but even in this small scene, his comedic genius was clear. The following year, Saturday Night Live came calling, and he was on his way to becoming a household name. Over the years, he's given us classics like New Jack City, Lethal Weapon 4, Everybody Hates Chris, and legendary stand-up specials. Now 60, Rock's sharp wit and comedic edge are just as strong. And let's be real, decades later, people are still quoting his one rib scene. That's when you know you've made comedy history. Cherry, played by the effortlessly charming Anne-Marie Johnson, is the definition of too good to be true in I'm Gonna Get You Sucka, until she isn't. At first, she seems like the perfect woman, beautiful, sweet, and down for a good time. Jack thinks he's hit the jackpot when she invites him back to her place, but things take a hilarious turn when Cherry starts revealing her modifications. First, off come the eyelashes, then the hair, then the leg. By the time she's done, Jack is left stunned, realizing that the woman he thought was flawless is basically held together by spare parts. It's one of the funniest and most unexpected moments in the film, perfectly playing on the exaggerated beauty standards of the time, and let's be honest, it still hits today. Anne-Marie Johnson's comedic timing makes the scene even better, keeping it lighthearted and unforgettable. At 28, Johnson was already a familiar face, having starred on What's Happening Now, and later making waves as Althea Tibbs on In the Heat of the Night. She became a staple in television, appearing in countless sitcoms and dramas, always bringing class, humor, and versatility to every role. Now 64, she remains a respected figure in Hollywood, known not only for her acting, but for her activism within the industry. Cherry may have been a short-lived character in I'm Gonna Get You Sucka, but Anne-Marie Johnson made sure she left a lasting impression, just like she always does. Fly Guy, played by the iconic Antonio Fargas, is hands down one of the most outrageous and hilarious characters in I'm Gonna Get You Sucka. A former pimp turned fashion disaster, Fly Guy is living proof that some people just refuse to let go of the past. When we first see him, he's fresh out of prison, strutting like he never left the 70s. His outfit? A loud, feathered hat, platform shoes with aquariums in the heels, and enough confidence to make anybody do a double take. At first, Fly Guy thinks he's still got the juice, walking around like a king. But reality hits hard when he steps into modern times. He quickly learns that his pimp strut doesn't have the same effect anymore. But don't let the flashy outfit fool you. When it's time to take down Mr. Big, Fly Guy steps up. He joins the crew and proves that beneath the ridiculous exterior is a fighter who still has some tricks up his sleeve. Antonio Fargas was the perfect choice for Fly Guy. By 42, he was already a Blaxploitation legend, starring in films like Foxy Brown, 1974, and Car Wash, 1976, and as Huggy Bear in Starsky and Hutch. His ability to mix swagger and self-deprecating humor made Fly Guy one of the funniest characters in the film. Fargas, now 78 years old, has been friends with the Wayans siblings for many years. A beloved figure in the black community, he has always brought style, charisma, and laughs to the screen, whether playing a slick hustler or a washed-up pimp. Slammer, played by the legendary Jim Brown, is one of the toughest and most battle-ready members of the crew in I'm Gonna Get You Sucka. A retired warrior with a no-nonsense attitude, Slammer is the kind of guy you do not want to mess with. When Slade tracks him down, he's living the quiet life, running a restaurant with his old partner Hammer. They've put their violent days behind them, flipping burgers instead of bad guys. But when Slade calls on them for one last mission to take down Mr. Big, Slammer doesn't hesitate. It's time to get back to business. At 52, Jim Brown was already a legend, both on and off the screen. Before Hollywood, he was an NFL powerhouse, widely regarded as one of the greatest football players of all time. But once he stepped into acting, he became the ultimate action star, bringing his natural toughness to films like The Dirty Dozen, 1967, Three the Hard Way, 1974, and Original Gangstas, 1996. Sadly, Jim Brown passed away in 2023 at the age of 87. But his legacy, as an athlete, actor, and activist, lives on. Whether on the football field or the big screen, Jim Brown was always a force to be reckoned with. Kinga, played by the incomparable Clarence Williams III, is the self-proclaimed revolutionary in I'm Gonna Get You Sucka, but let's be real, he's more talk than action. Dressed in full militant gear and preaching about the struggle, Kinga runs a black empowerment bookstore, where he claims to be all about the movement. But when it's time to actually stand up and fight, he's nowhere to be found. Turns out, behind all the rhetoric, he's just a regular guy trying to make a living, selling bean pies and dodging conflict. That's what makes Kinga such a hilarious and sharp character. He represents the type of person who talks a big game, but isn't ready to walk the talk. And Clarence Williams III plays him to perfection, giving Kinga just the right mix of charisma and hypocrisy. By the time he took on this role, Williams III was already a legend, best known for his role as Link Hayes in The Mod Squad. He went on to play unforgettable characters in films like Tales from the Hood, 1995, and Half-Baked, 1998, where he brought his signature intensity and unpredictability. Sadly, he passed away in 2021 at the age of 81 due to colon cancer. But his impact on film and television is undeniable. Whether he was playing a militant bookstore owner or a terrifying villain, Clarence Williams III had a presence that could never be ignored. Kalinga's wife, played by Eve Plum, is the kind of person who radiates warmth wherever she goes. Unlike her husband, who has a more intense and serious demeanor, she is distinguished by her extreme friendliness. Whether it's Kalinga's acquaintances or complete strangers, she greets everyone with the same open-hearted energy, always ready with a bright smile. Her positivity is almost infectious, and she finds joy in the simple things. Her hair, her ornaments, and little details of life seem to bring her genuine happiness. Eve Plum was 30 at the time, and already a familiar face in Hollywood, best known for playing Jan Brady on The Brady Bunch. By then, she had successfully transitioned from her child star days into a respected actress with a diverse range of roles. Now 66, she continues to act, proving her talent and versatility. Even in a film packed with eccentric personalities, Plum's portrayal of Kalinga's wife adds a unique contrast. Someone who doesn't need a big scene to be unforgettable. Whether she's smiling for no reason or embracing the simple joys in life, she reminds us that a little happiness goes a long way. The Reverend, played by the legendary John Witherspoon, delivers pure comedy in I'm Gonna Get You Sucka, a hilarious parody of Blaxploitation films. The movie satirizes the genre's over-the-top tropes, and Junebug Spade's funeral is a prime example. Instead of falling to drugs or street violence, Junebug overdoses on gold chains. At 46, Witherspoon brought his signature energy to the role, making an already ridiculous moment even funnier. As he passionately calls out, "Junebug Spade," during the service, a confused family in the crowd starts whispering, "Who the hell is Junebug?" Turns out, they were at the wrong funeral. Realizing their mistake, they awkwardly grab their stuff and shuffle out, probably wondering how they ended up mourning a man weighed down by jewelry. Witherspoon's booming voice, wild expressions, and flawless comedic timing make this mix-up one of the film's funniest moments. A legend in the black community, Witherspoon played major roles in Friday, 1995, Little Man, 2006, and voiced Granddad in The Boondocks. He was also a main cast member in The Wayans Brothers, playing Pops, the hilarious and wisecracking father of Sean and Marlon. His comedic genius was unmatched, turning every scene into a classic. Though he passed away in 2019 at 77 due to a heart attack, his legacy lives on. Whether officiating the wrong funeral or dropping Granddad's wisdom, Witherspoon remains one of the greatest to ever do it. Kung Fu Joe, played by the late great Steve James, is one of the wildest and most over-the-top characters in I'm Gonna Get You Sucka. A martial arts master who takes himself way too seriously, Joe is always ready for action, even when action doesn't need him. The man is so committed to his craft that he literally tries to kung fu his way through an army of gun-toting bad guys, and, well, let's just say, things don't go as planned. When the crew assembles to take down Mr. Big, Joe is the first to jump in, talking big and flexing his martial arts skills. But in classic parody fashion, all that fancy footwork doesn't mean much when the enemies have bullets. He charges in with all the confidence in the world, until reality hits. And by reality, I mean gunfire. Joe goes out in a blaze of glory, fighting to the bitter end, proving that while skill is great, sometimes strategy is better. Steve James was born for action roles. At 36, he had already made a name for himself in martial arts and action films, starring in classics like American Ninja, 1985, and The Delta Force, 1986. He had the perfect mix of intensity, athleticism, and humor, making Kung Fu Joe one of the most memorable parts of the movie. Tragically, Steve James passed away in 1993 at just 41 years old due to pancreatic cancer. Gone too soon, but never forgotten, his impact on action films and black cinema still lives on. One-Eyed Sam, played by Hawthorne James, is one of those characters you can't help but remember. With his slightly creepy look and an obnoxious laugh that lingers a little too long, he's the kind of guy you don't exactly trust, but you also don't want to cross. Sam operates in some shady business, particularly when it comes to weapons. If you need firepower, he's the man to see, and in I'm Gonna Get You Sucka, he plays a crucial role in supplying Jack Spade and his crew as they gear up to take down Mr. Big. Despite his sketchy dealings, One-Eyed Sam is a valuable ally, and his collaboration with Jack and the team proves essential in their fight against crime in any ghetto, USA. Hawthorne James was 39 at the time and already had a growing presence in Hollywood. However, his most iconic role came in 1991 when he played the ruthless and unforgettable Big Red Davis in The Five Heartbeats, a performance that cemented him as a force in black cinema. Now 75, Hawthorne James remains a respected actor, known for his powerful screen presence and ability to bring intensity to any role. Wayne Evans, played by the always memorable Tony Cox, might be small in stature, but he's got a whole lot of fight in him. In I'm Gonna Get You Sucka, Wayne crosses paths with Jack Spade, and let's just say, they don't exactly see eye to eye. Jack still holds a grudge against the Evans family over something that happened way back in the 5th grade, which only makes their tension funnier. What starts as a disagreement quickly escalates into a full-blown skirmish, proving that Wayne isn't one to back down, no matter how ridiculous the reason. Despite his size, Wayne isn't afraid to stand his ground, even when it's clear he's outmatched. His determination and scrappy attitude turn what could have been a simple grudge match into one of the film's most unexpected yet hilarious moments. Tony Cox's comedic timing makes every second of their clash entertaining, showing why he was a master at making audiences laugh. At 30, Cox was already a seasoned actor with a knack for stealing scenes. He would go on to have a long and successful career, appearing in films like Bad Santa, Me, Myself, and Irene, and the cult classic Friday, where he had another unforgettable moment. Now 67, Tony Cox is a legend in his own right, known for turning small roles into big laughs. Wayne Evans may not have been the toughest fighter in the film, but thanks to Cox's performance, he left a lasting impression. Mr. Big, played by the legendary John Vernon, is the ultimate villain in I'm Gonna Get You Sucka, a ruthless crime boss who keeps the city in a chokehold. He's the mastermind behind the gold chain epidemic, getting rich while the streets suffer. Cold, calculating, and always one step ahead, Mr. Big is the kind of guy who doesn't break a sweat even when the heat is on. But for all his power, he seriously underestimates Jack Spade and his crew. He thinks he can keep running things without consequences, until the old-school warriors come knocking. With Slade, Hammer, Slammer, and Fly Guy on the case, Mr. Big quickly realizes that his empire is crumbling. And let's not forget the grand showdown. When the heroes finally get their hands on him, it's game over for Mr. Big. At 56, John Vernon was already a Hollywood veteran, known for playing powerful authority figures, from Animal House, 1978, where he hilariously played the uptight Dean Wormer, to serious roles in crime films and dramas. Vernon had the perfect blend of menace and sophistication. His deep, commanding voice made him an unforgettable antagonist, whether in live action or animation. Sadly, he passed away in 2005 at the age of 72. But his legacy as one of cinema's most memorable villains lives on. And that's a wrap on I'm Gonna Get You Sucker, a film that wasn't just a parody, but a tribute to the Blaxploitation era, a celebration of black heroes, and a comedy that still hits just as hard today. From unforgettable characters to hilarious moments, this movie gave us something special, something that still makes us laugh, quote, and appreciate its genius. What was your favorite moment from the movie? Drop it in the comments below. We'd love to hear it. If you enjoyed this trip down memory lane, be sure to like, comment, and subscribe to Movie Bites for more then and now videos on the films and shows that shaped us. Until next time, keep the classics alive, and we'll see you in the next one.